Chapter 35. When I opened my eyes again, it was morning. Not that I could tell. There was lots of hustle and bustle outside of staff. I noticed something eerie. Yesterday, they'd all looked in as they walked past. This morning, no one looked at me. Again, it felt like I was a non-person. I figured that was because I'd been gang raped and they all knew. I called out to the nurse to unlock the toilet for me. They kept it locked, being the incarcerated person room. Once inside, in private, I checked myself out. If even one person had had sex with me, my vagina would be a mess. I'm right in the middle of menopause, and if I didn't plunge estrogen cream up my vaginal canal, the thin walls hurt when penetrated. I'd had to stop sex before, not even rough sex. It went through my head that because there were doctors involved, fucking grubs, they'd given me an epidural or something. When that wore off, there'd still be pain, I reasoned. I didn't feel raped, but I did feel like a shell of a person. Maybe they hadn't done it that night, but it sure sounded like they were planning to do it sometime. When I was drug raped, I had flashbacks. It's too traumatic not to come to every now and then. The talking and laughing is one thing that kind of brings you up to the consciousness. Because they were all so-called healthcare professionals, maybe they knew not to make a sound. Maybe they just photographed me naked and all posed around me like a dead animal and they were the hunters. I thought of the Rick Frey rape though, and I knew I never got it. I thought of the naval freak, Rick Frey, and I know I never got any flashbacks of that at all. I was completely unaware that it happened until the weird pub thing and the sex shop thing. Unless these Tari ER rapists all had very small dicks. An admin woman came and told me my older brother was there and did I want to see him. I said yes. I was pretty relieved at this. I wasn't going to tell him what happened. What would be the point? He'd be in a position to want to do something about it and he couldn't get me out of here anyway. Stuart came in and looked very happy to see me at first. Then he started to cry when he hugged me. Later he would say that it was really hard for him to see me like this, and if it was hard for him, it must have been hard for me. He was spot on. Despite this understanding, he got angry when I didn't want to go into what happened. I said what I'd said to the cops. It sounded like a conspiracy. It was so hard that he was angry, but that's a big part of why my family relationship sucks. He did tell me something quite moving though. Years ago, when we'd driven out west from Brownsville on one of his cattle buying missions, I'd gone along for the ride and the scenery. We'd had some pretty in-depth chats. I don't remember this, but I'd said to him when he asked why I didn't do relationships, I ruined them all. Jobs, relationships, I ruined them all. As he tried to relay this bit, he fought tears pretty hard. It was empathy from him for sure. Was this guilt? It wouldn't surprise me. My whole family had watched me struggle with my mother, struggle with them, struggle with life. And he was right to feel guilty. All I'd ever gotten off them was misunderstanding in the form of anger. Despite this, I did my best to comfort him. Typical. I was working hard to people please. He said that the people who'd had the hardest time with me was Mum and Dad. I was incensed. I rattled off all I'd read about narcissistic parents and how that fucked up the children. He was the golden child, I was the scapegoat, and our younger brother was the lost child. I couldn't believe he was buying that shit that my mother peddled about me being difficult. But I wasn't surprised. He'd survived in that family by being her attack dog. He even said, I'm too aggressive, I've got to manage my anger. Again, he was looking to me for sympathy, for understanding. I bit my tongue from saying, yeah, I'll bet you're fucking aggressive. You bullied me all my childhood, and odds are that you're bullying your wife now, hence the admission of being too angry. I didn't give a fuck about his bullied wife. She was pretty condescending to me, so I didn't have the sympathy that I should. I really could have done with an apology from him, but I was never going to get that. A mental health nurse, Deborah, arrived to wheel me in a chair to the MHU. Stuart went with me. He waited in a common room with a large TV behind perspex and tables and heavy chairs that couldn't be thrown. Deborah showed me to my room. It was private and actually pretty good in its stark whiteness. I felt dirty, so being in a clean environment was so welcoming. White sheets, white hospital blanket, white pillow on the bed, even a bedside table. I went back into the common room and sat and ate some snacks that were left on the table. Stuart and I were a lot nicer to each other. I was into the next stage. When he left, he hugged me tightly to him. I protested because the burn on my head was rubbing into his shoulder. He didn't budge, though. It was like he was hugging me because he was never going to see me again. This fed into my fears of being handed over to gangsters by staff in here who wanted to make a quick buck. And the nurses surely did not help this fear at first. They were weird to me. I guess that's their brief. But I wasn't weird to anyone, just quiet and broken. I can't remember much of that first day and night. I don't think they gave me drugs. That would come the next day after I saw the psych.